Hi dear students, I hope you are studying well the literary terms which we have started. Dear students, we have made 5 episodes on literary terms and this is 6th episode on the same. And in this video we are going to explore another term in literature, and these terms are very significant for understanding literature and for many exams which you are going to appear in this year. So dear students, let's start with the new term. Here #6 literary terms allusion, and we are watching literature simply. Very first, dear students, we will dissect the definition, or we will see the meaning of this term allusion. Then we will understand how this allusion appears in literature, or what kind of things are related to allusion. And then I will explain to you some of the types of allusion, and after that we will understand the examples of allusion. So first, definition of allusion. Here you see this definition is borrowed from Oxford Dictionary of Literary Terms by Chris Baldick. An indirect or passing reference to some event, person, place or artistic work, the nature and relevance of which is not explained by the writer but relies on the reader's familiarity with what is thus mentioned. Now, in this definition, if you look at, there are some important words or the important part of this definition, so that we can understand the meaning of this term called allusion. Here you see it is a reference to some event, person, place or artistic work, and it relies on the reader's familiarity. Now you see this is a reference. Allusion is nothing but a reference to some place, to some kind of person, to some kind of literary work. Even the structures of literary forms also are alluded in the other works. So this kind of things are there in the term called allusion. And dear students, allusion needs knowledge of that particular reference. If you are studying allusion and you don't know about the reference which is mentioned there, for example, there are works composed by Shakespeare, or we have a list of Shakespeare's dramas, and later in the 20th century or in the current time period, some authors have taken the structure of Shakespeare, or there are references of the characters of Shakespeare in today's works. Now this kind of relation, for example, we have T.S. Eliot's Wasteland. In Wasteland you find, I will cite that example, you find the character or the place or the particular structure is alluded, which is taken from Shakespeare by T.S. Eliot. So this kind of knowledge is very important to understand allusion, and hence sometimes allusion becomes a difficult term because we need the knowledge, we need the information or the background of that particular author or the period of that author, so that we can understand what happened in that period which is appeared here in the literary work. Next definition we have from a handbook of literary terms edited by M.H. Abrams and Geoffrey Harpam, and they say allusion is a passing reference without explicit identification to a literary or historical person, place or event, or to another literary work or passage. Now this definition expands the scope of the term allusion, and you have here literary works, literary persons, historical events, historical persons, historical personages appeared from one text to the other text, or the events which are actually happened in literature or in history. So you can understand that in history the events also are alluded in the literary works. For example, in Second World War there are many events happened, and these events were alluded in the plays or the novels. We have for example the novel of Joseph Heller's Catch-22, in which the very title alludes to some of the events happened in the very Second World War, and you see that this Catch-22 refers to different types of references, or it refers to different types of allusions. For example, we have this Catch-22 phrase now used as there is nothing, or you cannot win, or the unwin situation, or no win situation. So this kind of allusions we have from history to the present literary text. Means it can be a event happened in history or in literature too, or structure, form, anything you can allude in the next work. Now what is important here, you see, it is again a reference to a literary or historical person, place or event, or to another literary work or passage. So as you see, there are many things which are alluded from one text to the other text, and this definition expands the scope of allusion. You have allusion from history, you have allusion from literature, you have allusion from real life events, you have allusion from some kind of things happened in the past. So this kind of things or references you have, and allusion is nothing but simply a reference or passing reference very clearly. Now dear students, let's understand what are the types of allusion. Here you see very first type, imitative allusion, as in parody. So this particular type of imitative allusion found in parody. Now what is parody? Parody is nothing but it is a mocking imitation of a style of literary work, ridiculing the stylistic habits of an author. Say for example, there are certain habits of Shakespeare or Milton, and these habits are ridiculed in some other works by other writers, and this kind of things called as imitative allusion, or it is found in parody. So there are mock epics based on the epics composed by others. So this is, for example, we have Milton's epic Paradise Lost, and again we have Rape of the Lock by Alexander Pope, and this is a mockery, and very clearly it alludes to the references in the past or in real life, or it takes references from the real epics which are composed, or the long poems composed by the writers like John Milton. And you have very simply these allusions of form or allusions of parody. This is the first type. Second type, here we have structural allusion. Structure of another work is used here, and we have example of James Joyce's Ulysses refers to Homer's Odyssey. Now it is a very clear indication that in structural allusion you find the structure is imitated. For example, we have James Joyce's Ulysses based on Homer's Odyssey, and the structure is alluded here, and sometimes form also is alluded in the work. And last we have topical allusion, which is found in satire. So we have very famous satires, and in satire this topical allusion is found. Now dear students, I hope you understood the three types of this allusion and the meaning of allusion. Now let's understand the examples of allusion, because allusion needs some knowledge, some information to have to understand or to recognize where the allusion is happening. Here we have example, for example, we have Thomas Nash's Litany in Time of Plague, and we have some lines. Brightness falls from the air, queens have died young and fair, dust hath closed Helen's eye. Now here you see the reference of Helen is to the Helen of Troy. Now Thomas Nash alludes the character Helen from the very epic Troy or Helen of Troy. The Helen refers to the Helen of Troy, and if you don't know about who is Helen of Troy, then you will not understand the reference or that particular line, the Helen's eye, which refers to the Helen of Troy. So here Helen refers to the Helen of Troy. Next example, we have T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, and we have the lines, the chair she sat in like a varnished throne glowed on the marble. Now it is an ironic description of Cleopatra's barge in Antony and Cleopatra. So Antony and Cleopatra is a play composed by William Shakespeare, and William Shakespeare describes the barge of Cleopatra in the following lines, and these lines are alluded again in T.S. Eliot's Wasteland. So Shakespeare's lines are, the barge she sat in like a burnished throne burned on the water. Now you see very powerful lines we have regarding Cleopatra's barge, and here he says that it is like burnished throne. So here he uses simile like burnished throne, and the same lines alluded in Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. She sat on a chair and it was like a burnished throne. And again these lines are taken from Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, Act 2nd, Scene 2nd. So dear students, this is all about allusion, the definition of allusion, meaning of allusion, examples of allusion, and types of allusion. I hope you got the idea of allusion. Still, if you have any problem, any query, you can directly comment below in the comment section, or you can email me on contactliteraturesimply@gmail.com, and we also have a website called literaturesimply.com. Please visit that website and have articles on different types of forms of literature or the criticism, so that you can understand it very well. So thank you very much for watching the complete video. Please share this video among your friends and subscribe to our channel Literature Simply and press the bell notification icon.